why I started telling it like it is. It is live. If you have any questions, plop them in the comment section. If you're watching this after the fact on a social media channel, put them in there. We will answer them. Again, I would like to thank Bitfo for their sponsorship. They are Canada's premier cryptocurrency exchange. They have just released 4 new digital currencies. Check them out. Real people, digital currencies. Download their app or visit their website. It'll be in the comments section shortly, bitfo.com. I am pumped about today's guest, as I am every week. But Jaime, she's just one of those. We met for some beers a few weeks ago. How are you doing today?
Hey, Jade. Thanks for having me. I'm doing fantastic. Thanks. I'm super excited to be here and appreciate you having me on.
Well, I guess it was more than a few weeks ago we met for beers, wasn't it?
It was still sunny and hot. So, yeah, we were just patio styles. So.
Always patio. It's still patio, weather out here, right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So what I'm going to do here is I'll give a brief introduction and then we'll get after it. So Jaime is led by a relentless focus on the customer experience. She is an executive leader, strategist, collaborator, and creative problem solver working in marketing and advertising industry. She's a strong business development professional, skilled in digital strategy, marketing, management, luxury goods, and integrated marketing. She brings 15 years of multidisciplinary teamwork and knowledge. And I guess I kind of want to build on that is, and we'll talk about right now how you founded Fanorama. So did your background really have a impact on why you founded Fanorama?
Yeah, that's funny. Okay, so if you need to recap that, you can read the LinkedIn, but I would say, yeah, that all had a huge impact on where we're at today, because I actually learned and honed the skills for not just problem solving, but as a consultant in digital agencies, all you do all day long is find opportunities and build solutions for those. And so, doing that through a digital lens as a marketer and being able to put that together in a cohesive way is really what I'm bringing to the table at Fanoramas. And my co-founder, Al, who's also my husband, for those of you who don't know that, interesting day to day, but he's a crazy avid sports fan. So he's been to, NFL games in London. He's been to the Super Bowl in Tampa. We've been to hockey games in Switzerland. And so it's always been like just a part of our lives going to sports. And the one thing that's always been missing for him, and really where this idea was born, was having that great epic shot from the events you attend. You come home, you might have a soggy ticket stub or a selfie, but you don't have. It's so hard to share and tell the story about how exciting it was to be there. And like for me, my story is less glamorous. I was 7 years old at a baseball game, and because I had to really dig in. I'm like, well, what's my sports story? And then I realized, of course, I have one. And I was in grade 2, and I'm from a family of 5 women, so going to sporting events, like, this is not happening, right? We're like advanced family. So my friend's father hauls me off, and he's like, "You're coming to the game with us," and I don't even know what that means in grade 2. So we go to the ball game. It's my first time in a big stadium, and the energy is just magic. And that day, I found a $10 bill in the bathroom, and I actually caught the ball. So yeah, I caught a baseball. And so I've since actually been able to give that ball to my son. But what I remember the most about that day is just how excited I was. And if I could share a photo of that, or use that photo to share and tell my story, that would be awesome. And so that's really why we started Panoramas. And so it was like my background in digital marketing, Al's passion for sports. We can mush those things together, and you have like a really super passionate team who wants to build something great for other fans.
That's cool. I mean, I love founding stories, and I didn't know that. I mean, like that, something that affects somebody in childhood so much, right? Like, and again, I'm a diehard sports fan. I'm sure you can't tell by my background, but which why it resonates it. And I agree. I mean, in today's world, there's so much of this, right? Oh yeah, let's fake this moment, right? Yay, I'm at the football game or something. And I just love that idea. I wish I had them. I remember back to 1991 at the World Juniors in Saskatoon when John Slaney scored that goal. Right, like there's me, my dad, and my brother, and to this today, it's probably the coolest thing that I remember from a sporting game because everybody's cheering for Team Canada. I would have loved a shot of that.
Right? Yeah.
Right? I
It's
mean, it's before phones and things like that, but you're not going to sit there like this and go like, oh, you're going to score, you're going to score, away you go. But so, like, tell me how this works, and I mean, it's obviously pretty technical.
yeah. Well, it's funny because I love what you're saying because it's always a special moment, right? Whether
Yes.
it's like, you're at that Team Canada winning game, or you're with a group of friends. Like just a couple of years ago when we could go, I was with a group of friends from childhood, and we had our kids at a game together, and that was a cool moment I would have loved to
Yeah.
share. And it can be that simple. Um, but so the cool thing is that you can't predict when an exciting moment's going to happen, right? And that's what makes it exciting. And
Yeah.
so what we're doing is giving fans access to content that they've never been able to have access to or own before, right? Like you see that on TV, if you're lucky enough to be on the dance cam, um, you get that visibility, but it's not yours. You don't own that content. So we're getting that to fans and putting it in your hands so that you can do it. So you can think of our system kind of like the roller coaster theme park picture that captures you automatically, but like on steroids. So what we do is we install hardware. So we install our cameras in a venue, and then we hook that up to our proprietary software. And so when the magic happens, when there's a crazy moment, um, we we fire our system, and then we capture everyone simultaneously, and we capture a burst of photos. So that because there's those moments have an arc, right? They have their own story arc.
Yeah.
So we make sure we capture that arc. So we're sure to get just the right shot. And then we push that to your phone as an image gallery. So as a fan, you get a gallery of photos from every single epic moment in that game or at that event. And then you have the freedom to share and tell your story.
I mean, that must take a lot of cameras, a lot of lighting, a lot of like behind the scenes work. Maybe touch on that because
Okay.
I know our I mean, I know this, how it works, and you filled me in a
Okay.
few times, but let's share with our listeners here today because like this is just not a simple little, what works in London at or Man U or things is going to be different from the Saddle Dome or an NFL stadium.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, it's so true. There's so many variables to account for, right? So, if think about how the jumbotron started, right? It was a manual scoreboard, right? And now we have the jumbotron, and it breathes fire, and it does all kinds of cool things. So we're the infancy of automated fan photography. And so what we do is install cameras throughout the venue. And so yeah, there's a lot of them depending on the size of the venue.
Yeah.
Um, so we install our cameras, we connect them in the venue. The whole system is connected through Ethernet, and then fans opt in. So we actually map our cameras to the arena, so we know
Okay.
exactly where the seats are. So when we take a photo, we're capturing a group of people, and then our software maps and slices the photos so that they're relevant on a per user basis. So you tell me you're in section K, uh, row 23 seat or row F seat, whatever, and then we'll map that directly for you. So then we're just pushing out seat data. So we're actually I would say we're probably one of the most privacy friendly platforms because we don't need much information from you to opt in. We just need to know your seat, and then we authenticate you that you're actually there through one piece of data. And then we can push you all the content you want.
Perfect. So once I get that content, it's now officially mine, and I'm able to kind of share it, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter,
Yep.
all the ones that the non-adults are using.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and you're right. It is. There's a reason. Like it seems that it should be a no-brainer, right? Like why
Yeah.
isn't somebody doing this already? And I think maybe that's where you're going with the technical complexity because it's not simple, right? It seems simple, but getting to simple can be highly complex when you think about what's going on in your iPhone or your whatever. It's a complex system that gets worked down to simplicity. And so that's really what we're doing, is implementing a highly complex technical system that delivers a simple solution. And that involves lighting, that involves hardware and software, and things work together in
No,
tandem.
no, I mean, there's so many moving parts to this, which is also pretty cool. Which again, as you said, makes it very difficult. Stadiums, lighting, outside, indoors. Away we go. Right. The one thing that I really want to touch on quickly is, most people always say, okay, I'm going to start here, I'm going to grow here, and I'm going to go from there. But you were almost the other way. You were like, oh, let's go. I'm going to start in England. I'm going to do international. I'm going to go from, start overseas and move and kind of move backwards. I don't want to call it backwards, but that's a word that just popped in
Yeah.
my head. So how has it been to work kind of simultaneously in the North American market and in the European market?
Yeah, it's funny. Maybe a little known fact is that a lot of sports tech startups actually get their foothold in the UK, in UK soccer,
Mm.
and then make their way back to North America. There's just lower barriers to entry around innovation, and there's more opportunity to try new things. Versus, say, in North America, you've got all the professional leagues. You need, like for example, with Major League Baseball, everything has to go through BAM, which is a media company owned by Disney. And so you've got to be perfect. So it's actually easier for us to start with, open-minded clubs that'll iterate with us, perfect our craft, and then bring it back home to North America. But COVID kind of got in the way of that. We had,
No, no one to take a
like,
selfie of,
I,
like no
you
one to take
know,
a picture
there
of.
we're all dealing with like way more
Yeah.
important stuff uh, going on. So yeah, so COVID did interrupt our business, just it did for everybody around the world. And so we had to kind of rethink our strategy for how we go to market, because we
Yeah.
had amazing projects lined up in March of 2020 over in the UK with some phenomenal clubs, and we're rebuilding that now. But with travel restrictions and things, it's just a bit more complicated. So what we did was looked for programs in North America that could help us, or in the US, that could help us go to market in the United States. So we're just now wrapping up the Mass Challenge Accelerator program, which has really given us a foothold in the US, within a couple of different segments. So you just have to be open and willing to explore your path. But you know, we do have global aspirations, and I mentioned the jumbotron. We do want to be in the next expected part of every event experience. So we'll get there, but step by step.
No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, I mean, no one predicted what was gonna happen, and, you again, you keeping your business, your dream and your business alive during COVID, and keeping your burn down and things along those lines, and then, of course, ready to go when things open up is awesome, so kudos to you and Al, and for being there and hanging on. I mean, I respect that so much, as does a lot of people, in our community that are here for you and cheering for you. No pun intended on the cheering, but you just touched on Mass Challenge. I wouldn't mind going there for a little bit. Why don't you tell people what that is and why it's so important for someone being in the sports industry?
Sure. Okay. I'm laughing just because why it's so important is, like, it's a hyper exclusive industry. So you've got to find your way in. So Mass Challenge, just for those of you who don't know, it's a nonprofit, non-dilutive global accelerator program, and they run various tracks. So they've got like a space track, a clean tech track, and they've got sports tech and various others. And so when we actually, you and I were talking, Jade, about, is the right time to go back to market, and you know just get back in high gear. And so
Yeah.
part of the outcome of you kicking my butt was us applying both to Startup TNT, but also Mass Challenge. And so we were accepted. And what Mass Challenge offers is, like a lot of accelerators offer this, but Mass Challenge is probably one of the best globally. And so they give you a playbook. So they kind of go, okay, here's your playbook. Here's how you do a startup. Okay, like we've mapped it out. we've sourced the best experts. Here's how you do it. And then they give you the tools to do it with. And then they say, okay, you can kind of choose your own adventure based on your own milestones. You decide where you're at in your process. And here's the tools to do it with. And oh, by the way, we have this world-class network of mentors who are here to help you. And you can tap into any of them. So if you know what you need and know what you want to, where you want to get to, you can source the right contact to get you in the right place. So, and it's the accelerator is all about paying it forward and giving back. And so it's just amazing how people will, it reminds me a lot of the Alberta ecosystem, right? People will stand up for you, they'll put you forward, and they do everything they can to get you where you need to be. So we spent 4 months in that program. We're graduating this Friday. And then we have access to and we have access to the alumni peer support and mentor network in perpetuity. So you're kind of in the family. And then, of course, you're expected to pay it forward when you're able as well. So I'm super pumped about that. And so we sort of had to slow down to speed up over the last 4 months, but it's given us just one quick point briefly, it's given us access to a market that is really tough to get into. There's systems in place, there's infrastructure in place, and a way of doing business that's it's basically enterprise sales, right? And so you need to have the right warm introductions and the right contacts to get in there. And then once you do, the puzzle kind of creates itself through a waterfall kind of effect.
No, that's awesome.
Anyway.
Well, and I know you're talking about that, for over the last few months, saying how good it's been, the connections you've made. Yeah, and they were even good enough when you said, "Oh, I don't want this. Can I just go here?" And they're like, "Yeah, let's go." I mean, whatever we think is good for your business. So I'd love to hear that. I'm not the biggest fan of all accelerators, but it's good to hear that when somebody comes in and says, "I really need to focus on this because I'm kind of past that." That they're like, "Yeah, that sounds good. Let's go."
Yeah. You just set your own goals, and then they help you achieve them. So it's pretty remarkable. There's like 200 to 300 companies that they take annually out of about 3,000. So it's a privilege just to be accepted, and then the support that you get it's just incredible. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I know you kind of touched on, we met at a Valhalla event, and I forgot to touch on how because networking is so dang important. Forgot to mention that. I can't believe it. And then of course you entered Startup TNT, and you touched on that, how it's very similar, that the Accelerator Mass Challenge is very similar to Startup TNT. So you went through the TNT process. Why don't you share your experience with it? I know we're good and bad. You don't have to just, pump us up or whatever it is, but what did you benefit from it? And how do you think that helped you kind of moving forward coming out of COVID?
So yeah, I mean, Startup TNT wasn't really on my radar until the last minute before it was time to apply. And so I thought, okay, well, let's throw our hat in the ring. Like, let's just get back out there, right? And tell our go back to market story after COVID. So Startup TNT actually did a lot for us. I think the first thing it did was, I think, rebuild our confidence as a company to go back out there after the shutdown, which is a big deal, right? Just getting back out there. And so, but the format of Startup TNT is cool because, every startup company is going to need capital at one stage or another. And so we wanted to see if we bootstrapped up until now, and we're ready for investment. So we wanted to see if we would get there with Startup TNT. So we did get a side deal out of it, which was amazing. But the biggest part for us was just the ability to practice our pitch and to get our message right again for that relaunch, and then also create some new relationships with actual investors and potential investors, and go through that due diligence process in a real way. So other accelerators will kind of give you, like Platform Calgary, for example, showed us what is a data room. And if you're a first-time founder, you don't know what that is if you don't come from a big business background or in the C-suite.
Yeah.
Um, and so we figured out what a data room was, but actually Startup TNT helped us go through the diligence process and really interrogate what's in there, why we need to have that, and how that's going to support our company. So we really drilled down on all of being investor ready, and really went into Mass Challenge with a renewed set of confidence about our investor readiness and having everything together and well organized. So apart from those operational types of things, the other part I would say about Startup TNT is just it's really cool to be part of the Alberta ecosystem, because you get to meet all of the other amazing companies that are in your backyard and see all of the other cool things that are going on in the startup space and in our province, which is pretty cool.
Oh, I agree, and and thanks for sharing your story. I mean, I truly believe everything you said about TNT is true, right? The confidence, the DD room, or the due diligence, and the data room, things like that, that are important moving forward. And again, our ecosystem is so collaborative. Like, it's off the charts collaborative. So I love to hear that, and the confidence that you had. Now, speaking of the confidence, you went through TNT, you tightened everything up, you go through Mass Challenge, meet a lot of connections. What is next?
Well, I think I said so our vision is to be the expected part of every event experience globally, but we got to go step by step. So next for us is really getting that first customer locked in. So we were able to build a ton of new really cool clubs into our funnel. So we're looking to close a handful of those between now and December, so that come the new year we'll be able to be set up and go live in actual venues. So we're just getting to market, and then we'll regain that momentum that we had before COVID. So it's a great sign that things are picking up, and we're just getting there.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. Even looking at Eric Church's concert, or it doesn't matter what it is, I'm just excited to see full stadiums, whether it's the Saddle Dome or Vancouver. I know in the States they're kind of a little bit ahead of us. I can't speak to Europe if they're packing stadiums there or not. But yeah, I mean, I think it's such a good thing, and such a good opportunity for you, because people are going to want that experience. They want that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I take selfies like everybody else, but I want that moment. I want that 1991 John Slaney moment. I mean, I would give anything to see what I looked like jumping out of my seat when that, like, I don't, and it doesn't matter what sport it is. So I'm so excited to watch what you guys have planned for the next year.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we can't wait to get out there.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. Can't wait to go to Europe too. Like, I gotta make some sales calls in Europe.
I'll bring you along with us.
Yeah. Virtually. Here you go, Jade. Just follow
Yeah,
along.
exactly. Exactly.
Oh, so I know, I'm always sad when our interviews are coming to an end. A- and I guess your story is really different than a lot of others, because you were launched, you were moving forward, you had your tests done, you had your demos done, you're ready, you're talking to football clubs in England, and then COVID hits, and then your survival mode, and now I'm relaunch mode, and almost start over. And not very many people can say that. And so what? And,
We're
and,
not.
and I wish it wasn't true, right? I wish you were just still rolling,
Yeah.
rolling along, and we probably wouldn't even be having this conversation, because you'd be living somewhere in California in a mansion. But but I, so for your experience over, especially the last two years, if you had one piece of advice for a small business startup or entrepreneur, Jamie, what would that be?
Um, One Piece. Okay. There are easier ways.
Oh,
Okay,
yes.
so I guess I would say, don't be shy, right? Like, having an idea is one thing, but making it happen is another thing completely. And so, obviously getting to your first customer is incredibly important, but the more people that you talk to, we truly believe the better chance you'll have, because it helps you identify your blind spots. It helps you see things that you're probably ignoring, and may not want to even admit. And so I would just say, don't be shy. When you need help, ask for help. Say what you need, because you'll probably get it. That's what we did. I'll give a little plug to ATB because this is a provincial kind of podcast. But uh, so we needed, we had built our product and we're like, okay, we got to test this thing. How are we going to test it? We built a system for, um, you know, massive venues with 20,000 people at them. How do you test that? I mean, you kind of need to test it at scale to make sure your
Yeah.
stuff works, right? And so we went to ATP and we're like, okay, well, we need capital, obviously. We're a startup, but what we really need is an event. Could you guys put an event on the table? Like, can you get us into a stadium somewhere? And they're like, "Hmm, yeah, maybe. How about this?" I'm like, "No, that doesn't really work. How about this? Yes, that'll work." And what that was the bull busting event at the Ranchman's, which is a cowboy bar on McLeod Trail, and they do an annual bull riding event, and so you
Yeah.
set up and take down and it's like a 3 or 4 day event. And so that was with Cody and Rhonda Schneider, bull busting, who they've now moved over to Grey Eagle, I think. But ATB put the capital on the table for us and the event, able to do that. But had we not asked, like, had I just gone in and asked for money, I don't know. And then that event led to 2 other market discovery tests that we were able to do at a much bigger scale. So just ask, right? And I asked
Ask.
Mass Challenge, and I got a pro bono legal team in the UK as a result. So you just got to ask.
If you don't ask, you don't get. Right?
Right,
It's as simple
right.
as that, right?
But don't be
I
shy,
love
right?
that. Yeah,
Most people
don't
are
be
too
shy.
shy
Put
to ask.
yourself.
Yeah,
We talk about the importance of networking every single episode, and it's something that I cannot stress enough. And thank you for sharing that story, because yes, it is important to put yourself out there. It is important to share your idea, and as I say, idea is a starting point, and it starts to, the more information you get, it trickles in and really adds to your business plan.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, or changes
Oh,
the direction
or
entirely.
changes it, right? I mean, yeah, it could be completely different. You're like,
Yeah,
how did I not think of that? Oh my God.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, Jamie, thank you so much for spending time with us today, sharing your story, and I love it, and I'm always cheering for you, and I can't wait to see what's next for Fanorama, and I can't wait to be at an event somewhere and say, look, I know this person that took this photo of me in that big moment.
Awesome. Awesome. I love
Oh,
it.
so thanks again. And again, thank you to Bitvo for a sponsorship. Please check out their website. They just launched 4 new cryptocurrencies, bitvo.com. I didn't give Our conversation was so fluent today. I forgot to give a plug and say, check out Fanoramas. Their website is in the comment section. Click on it. It'll take you there. And again, thank you so much, Jamie, for your time today. I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to our next beer.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks for having me. Thanks, everyone.
All right.
Okay.
Everybody have a great week, and we'll